Hi guys, today I wanted to talk to you about business contracts. Having the right kind of contract for your business will bring you the right kinds of clients and frankly set expectations for both of you that are really productive and helpful in terms of framing the scope of your work, whether it is a one-time project or even one that is for free because you're just starting out in terms of the skill set and looking to monetize it in the future, or if it's a bigger contract that is multi-month or even multi-year with someone, really scoping it out and setting the parameters and maybe sometimes even broaching the uncomfortable topics will get more comfortable over time and frankly make you look like the badass that you are because you have already scoped and anticipated different issues or needs that may come up in the future. With that, they absolutely will save you time, money, and headaches, both for you and your client, and frankly, make sure that you get paid in a timely manner on all sorts of different parts of your business and ahead of schedule in terms of really making sure that you have the mind space to work and be creative in the ways that your client has hired you to be. We are really big proponents of always signing a contract with people. This really helps set the expectations and the boundaries. If your clients have questions about anything, you get to answer them. If you are looking at kind of a vague type of project as well, then it will help clarify what you are willing to work on, the number of hours that you anticipate certain projects taking you, and then really clarifying if things go out of scope or out of that period of time, what are the catches or the safety nets on that, and how willing are they willing to put more money into this project or the scope of work, and you both have a sense of bandwidth at the end of the day. The right kind of contract also ensures that you get paid. You get paid on the front end with a deposit of some sort. And then on the back end, there's typically a lesser amount than the overall scope of the work that client has to pay. And if they have a period of time that it's going to take them to pay you for everything, at least you have that in a momentum, and the scope of that is also defined. There are no reasons that a freelancer should get paid in a 60 or 90-day period. We really are trying to get that shortened to within 30 days and even maybe 15 days because you yourself are not a giant business and you have expenses that you need to pay on your end that are more immediate. And we do also really encourage you to do contracts, get them signed, even if you are doing things for friends and family or on a discounted or free basis this time around, because it really helps to reinforce that you are doing this project or even walking their dog or something for free, despite this being something that you anticipate building a business around in the future, because you are just starting out or because this is your entry point into developing them as a client over time. And this ensures, frankly, that they understand that this is something that has a price associated with it in the outside world, outside of this relationship or this one engagement, and that you are starting out on the lower range of a spectrum of costs, right? That there's a range of pricing that people apply for this type of servicing or this type of product, and that you are on the lower range because you're just starting out or they have a certain relationship with you, and that with people that have more experience or do not have that relationship, there is a higher price point and they should value that. And it allows for you to come back to them in time when they want to engage you again, or when you're 3 to 5 years down the path in your career, that there is a price that's commensurate with that. And it takes away kind of this transactional relationship with clients and freelancers of just giving a number and then potentially being competed with somebody with more experience or less experience on that initial price point. So we really want to contextualize that conversation. The contract allows for that conversation to happen. With the scope of work, we found that some freelancers do define a scope of work in terms of what they deliver. We have historically done that ourselves in terms of deliverables and what kind of timing you can expect, whether it's a PR plan, a marketing deck, an investor deck, or, you know, dog walking, what are the hours that you're going to be coming into the building, or other parameters, right, in terms of how long a haircut or hairstyling will take. And then any other relevant project details, right? What do you require in order to do your work from that client side? And that leans into the client's commitments. Make sure that in your contract, you also provide guidelines in terms of how quickly you need feedback or reviews in terms of projects and strategies that you're delivering on, or what you need people to do, you know, before they drop off a dog with you, right? What do they need to bring in terms of kibble or poop bags, and different conversations around trained commands that can be helpful to you, especially if you come into a crisis situation with their animal. And then certainly any past materials. In the case of a hairdresser or a hairstylist, you might ask a client to come to you with a few pictures of what they're envisioning. And then if it's something that doesn't work for that person's hair texture, you can have that conversation about what it will result in, and if they're okay with that treatment, that coloring treatment or that cut. And so this is a great point, again, to open up a conversation of what you can deliver given the materials you're working with, and the timeframes and all of that, and what your client needs to come along to with you to make this a really positive experience for both of you. And finally, this is a really good point at time to get more information about the client, their email, their phone number. And then certainly if this is more than a singular interaction, a substituting situation, make sure that you have other points of contact. So if you're substituting for someone even, get not only the client's information, but the originating freelancer's information as well, so that you have those 2 points of contact. If you have questions or you need to communicate that you're going to need an extension of a deadline, or you're going to need to reschedule that appointment or something, super useful to do if people have issues in terms of trust and being concerned that you will use that information poorly. Just send them a quick note and say, look, I'll just need this in case of emergency. I'm not going to bother anybody with this, but it is something that I do need in order to do my job effectively and communicate with all parties in case somebody's away, inaccessible, on vacation, whatever it is. But really useful going forward to have more points of contact and all their information. What you should also include in your contract is a 5 to 10% admin fee. This is really significant because often freelancers are using their own resources, credit cards and the like, to buy different supplies. And sometimes you'll do that on behalf of a client in terms of travel costs, in terms of conference fees, in terms of even small things like printing or faxing, and subscriptions, even in terms of managing social media accounts. And if you are doing that, you're not always sure about what the repayment time frame is going to be, right? You might agree to a 15-day repayment timeline, but sometimes people don't hit a deadline that they have internally to submit expenses. And so sometimes that'll extend beyond kind of that 30-day repayment time. And just having an admin fee within your contract actually allows for that, right? If you aren't able to have the funds to pay the credit card fee or expenses, you might be applied a late fee. And you don't want that coming out of your own pocket if it's not as a result of your own failure to pay that, but rather your clients. And so this just gives you a little bit of coverage. And if your clients do feel hesitant about that, again, it just creates the conversational space to talk about that. And you can simply say, do you expect to have a lot of different things that I need to research and then cover? If they say no, then you can simply say, well, then this shouldn't require a huge amount of cost on your end. And if you do have a lot of things that come up, then this just allows for me to be able to cover any of this or any late fees I'm assessed on my end, if you are late in your payment to me. So again, it's all about covering your own expenses, your own wallet, and any sort of great client that you're going to want to work with into the future is going to understand that. They're going to appreciate it, and it might just light a little bit of a fire under them to make sure that they pay things on time and are respectful of your own resources. And this can look like this that's on your screen now. We try to give examples of the different types of things that might come out of pocket for a freelancer. And then what would be assessed, that 5 to 10% admin fee. We do have an example of this in our free contract template that's in the Lance Academy, along with our website. And we do send this over email, so you can just copy and paste it, use it yourself, add it to any existing contracts you have. Just really simple. And again, shouldn't be a big issue with most of your clients. And if it is something that they get really frustrated about, then use it as a negotiation point in terms of bringing that repayment time or payment time to closer to a 15-day period, because it just allows for you to, again, cover any fees that are coming out of your own pocket. We are really concerned with you getting paid on a timely basis here at Lance. So here are just some suggestions that ensure that getting paid is not a challenge to you and your business. Make sure to talk about your rate in the context of your experience and setting expectations of what clients will receive in terms of level of service, right? If you're just starting out, you might have a lower rate, but don't just give that rate. Say, hey, I'm within the first 2 years of my experience in this job type. It's why I can afford to give you a lower rate at this point in time. I am just getting my skills up to speed. I'm taking online courses and, getting doggy CPR or whatever it is. And that's why you can take advantage of me at this point in time for this rate. I expect it to increase over time. If you would like somebody who's even more affordable, I can send you along to some people. I'm not sure of their quality of service, but here's what you can expect from me. And if you need somebody that's going to work even more autonomously for you, you might want to look at higher rates and somebody that can work more independently of direction from you as well. So again, set it in that context. If you're on the higher end of that range, be confident in terms of your pricing and ensure that the client knows what they're getting with that versus somebody who's less experienced as well. And this is also the value of creating a network of peers, is that you can get and give business in this way and in this context. Secondly, make sure that you get a deposit of or a percentage of your work cost up front. At the signing of your contract, you should be sending your first invoice for, say, 20% of the work that will be delivered, or try to get people to buy a package of your services, right? If you're dog walking, try to get them to buy into 4 or 5 walks up front. And then that ensures and allows you to be able to commit to servicing them on a weekly basis for the next month, and ensures that you guys get and give each other feedback in terms of what's working and what's not, and they don't have any commitment beyond that. But again, it's a great way to get some money up front and ensure that you are getting compensated well for the service that you are providing. Third, clarify up front how you get paid, how that works in terms of invoicing, where they can pay things, how quickly they should anticipate an email hitting their inbox, or ensure that they have Venmo or PayPal signed up, and then that's a great way to get payment over to you in a timely manner. And wherever possible, finally try to get that contract approved with a 15-day payment window. This is exceptional in terms of being a freelancer and having that headache of getting paid really eliminated. We're still seeing 30 to 60 to 90-day even repayment periods, and that should just not be the case. You shouldn't have to spend your time chasing down payments. Again, that's why we try to coach you in getting a deposit up front. So you at least have something and some sense of commitment from that client up front. So you don't have to be thinking about your rent being due or what you're going to eat for lunch. And then frankly, try to get that just as close as possible to 15 days. Having a really candid conversation with your clients in terms of that being more typical in the space these days, and that you have different expenses that you need to be mindful of, typically results in a healthy conversation around 15 to 30 days at the latest. And that takes us to the end of this session. I want to thank you for taking the time today to learn more about how to set up the right kind of contract. Again, you can find a template contract that you can use or copy and paste from on our website in the Lance Academy. Otherwise, you can join our Facebook group, Business Advice for Freelancers, where you'll find freelancing peers who ask each other questions, give you answers to different challenges you're facing. And for different inspiration, follow us on Instagram. Got lots of great posts and motivating images on a daily basis. And then finally, feel free to email us with any further questions about contracts or any specific questions you might have for your different freelancing gigs or side hustles. We've seen a lot of it and can also help introduce you to a peer that can help coach you through and navigate different situations you might find yourself in. Again, thanks so much for joining us, and looking forward to the next webinar that you'll sit in on. Let us know if you have any questions or other thoughts in terms of what we should be talking about. Best way to do that, again, is in the email, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.